Hi everybody, Melanie Potock here. Hey, if you happen to have my book, Adventures in Veggieland, you know that we're currently working in the summer chapter. Right now, I've got tomatoes and onions and cucumbers in my garden, but we're going to be doing a recipe that is absolutely my favorite that kind of focuses on a yummy summer vegetable, which is corn. Now, if you've got more hesitant eaters at home and you're trying to get kids involved in the kitchen, involved in learning to love vegetables, one of the best ways to start is with corn on the cob, because kids usually love anything that they can hold on to and they can nibble, and frankly, that's smothered in butter and salt. I mean, popcorn, right? I love that too, but let me give you a little bit healthier version once kids start to adapt to regular corn on the cob with all that butter and salt and yumminess. What you're going to do is just go ahead and boil a few ears. In this case, I'm actually doubling my recipe. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would probably do 7 or 8 ears of corn, depending on the size. But you might want to have this if you just have a few people at home. I'm cooking for a bunch of people tonight. So I'm going to double. And what I'm going to do is to get the kids involved is I'm going to go ahead and I'm slicing off each end of the corn cob. Then the kids get involved by taking the kernels off the corn. So let me move my Coach Mel cutting board out of the way here. What you want to do is find yourself a really shallow bowl to make it safer for the kids, but try to pick a bowl that you're going to serve the salad in anyway. Less dishes, less mess. And it makes the corn more the star of the show, especially when the kids are involved. Now that you've made a flat end on each ear of corn, then what you're going to do is have the kids, see how it just sits right there? Have them press it down right into the middle. They can take their corn peeler and either you can hold it at the top, or if you feel like they're old enough, they can hold it. If you want, you can also have them use a child-safe glove. Here, let me show you what I mean real quick. These are great. You'll find them in the back of Adventures in Veggieland where to order them, but if you're having trouble finding it, just message me. I'm happy to send you a link. So protects your hand. So if you're going to hold it and you've got a little bit of a sharp peeler here, then the kids can go ahead and just press down and watch this. Because your bowl is nice and shallow, you don't have to go all the way down. You're taking off these nice big strips of corn. Here, let me show you guys. Look at that. Now, once you've done one side, you just flip it over. Remember, you made it flat on the other side. And now the kids can do this end. And like I said, if they're old enough, they can do this all themselves, but you could also hold it, and I'd wear the gloves just to be extra careful. Alrighty, so I'm down to my last ear of corn. Isn't that pretty? Don't be surprised if kids reach in and actually help themselves to one of these strips of corn. They're kind of fun. But also, you know what? A cold ear of corn is a great thing for a kid to nibble on. It doesn't have to be doused with butter and salt, as much as we all love butter and salt, but when my kids were little, I would break one of these in half and throw it in their lunchbox, and they loved having it at school. Now, I wanted to mention last thing too, if you'd rather hold this with your child-safe glove on and just peel the strips off this way, it's totally fine. It's just a little bit safer with kids to actually stand up the ear. So, it depends on the age of your kid, but I also wanted to say that don't forget to flip it over and get every last bit of the corn. Alrighty, so once we've done that, then it's easy. All you're going to do is add the other veggies from the garden. So I've got 1 cup of cucumber. I think I can take off my child-safe glove here now. And I've got my cherry tomatoes. I just cut them in half. I wouldn't quarter them. It gets a little too wet that way. A half of a cherry tomato is good. You can use the grape tomatoes if you prefer. The kids can dump them in. Tomatoes are one of those things a lot of kids are hesitant about. So the first way you want to start with it is just to let them use some child-safe knives, cut them in half, pile up their little bowl of a cup's worth, and then let them dump them in. That's fine. If that's all they can do on that day, that's totally fine. That's how you get there. And then I've got about the same amount and size of bell pepper. And then I've got my beautiful purple onions, and I've chopped those, gosh, pretty finely. I like to really cut onions as small as possible, especially when I'm cooking with kids, because it can be quite a bite in the mouth. You know, it's an intense flavor. I'm just going to break them up a little bit. And then finally, about 4 tablespoons chopped of fresh parsley. This is another great thing that kids can use child-safe scissors with and help you chop that up. And then, oh, I love this, basil, straight out of my garden. You know, basil is one of the herbs that a lot of kids adapt to right away. So when the kids are getting the herbs out for you like this and sprinkling it on top like confetti, make sure afterwards that they smell the herbs on their fingers. You know, just that aroma is often the first step to getting used to a new flavor. Then all you do is add in your dressing. And I made this ahead of time. If you don't already have one of these old school gigantic measuring cups, you know, you can fill it up to already all the way to a quart, get one. They're so great because you can literally just pour in this case, it's apple cider vinegar. I needed exactly a cup. You might want to use a half a cup again if you're having this recipe, but I like a little extra dressing too. And then there is about 1/3 of a cup of sugar. That's going to help break down especially the bell peppers and the skin on the cucumbers. So it almost has a mild pickling effect. And then there's a little bit of salt and pepper in here to taste. That's all it is. Whisk it up really well so the kids can whisk it. And then you just dump it in. And if you want, you can serve it right away, but I used to refrigerate it for, I don't know, for about 45 minutes. And make sure the kids give it a good stir. But see how I made it in the same bowl that I'm going to serve it in? So easy. And the kids are so proud of it that way. So I'm just going to mix it up, cover it with maybe a little plastic wrap, stick it in the fridge, and then you're going to have a lot of this dressing left over, and so you can keep stirring it and just make sure it's all well coated and get everything kind of pickled, as I said. But this salad gets better the second and the third day. And here's a little tip for you. If you want, because you are going to have dressing down at the bottom, go ahead and give it a good mix tomorrow and then add a little bit of arugula or any of your favorite greens. Just mix a small handful into it. And the kids, again, can help you with that, even if they're not ready to eat it. And you actually have a real green salad with all the fixins. You know, you don't even have to make a salad now because you essentially prepped it ahead of time. You can also chop it up a little bit more and eat it with corn chips like a salsa. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. It is absolutely my go-to recipe in the summer. It's a totally different one than you'll find in any of the 20 recipes in Adventures of Veggieland. And I hope you practice with the corn as well. And don't forget to include those corn cobs in your kids' lunch. Or how about for a snack?